The stars blinked, and a fleet disappeared. Commander Alan Voss replayed the last 4 minutes of Patrol Delta 91's final transmission, again and again, fingers stiff above the console. No sound. No light. No warning. Just 93 warships vanishing like ash on the solar wind. Behind her, the war room of the Apex luminary was hushed but tense. Holoscreens floated, glitching slightly with interference. A dark mass, the object of every breath in the chamber, hovered at the edge of a zoomed-out star map. Angular, colorless, and cold. "This is not an accident," Alan said quietly. Fleet Marshal Drav glanced at her, jaw tight. "We're aware." "No. You're assuming this was sabotage, infiltration, something internal." She paused the recording on the 4th second of impact. "This was execution. Surgical. And precise." A younger officer across the room muttered, "We didn't even detect a weapon's signature. Because it didn't fire anything we know how to detect." Aylin snapped, then checked herself. Too harsh. Too loud. She exhaled. "I'm sorry. But this isn't a first strike scenario. This is a verdict." Marshal Drav paced toward the center console. "We've ruled out pirate tech, black market weaponry, even Concord defectors. It doesn't match any known propulsion model, thermal signature, or calm standard." He narrowed his eyes at her. "Except you say it does. In one way." Aylin tapped the console again and brought up the final packet received before the fleet lost signal. A simple audio burst. Rough. Raw. Decades-old codec. The words emerged like a ghost whisper, translated and projected into the air. "This wasn't a warning." Silence. Drav folded his arms. "Earth standard?" Aylin nodded once. "Midara soul speak. Pre-fall. Maybe 30 years before the collapse. No human craft has left Earth orbit in 120 years, said Admiral Liss, stone-faced from across the table. And the last long-range Earth cruiser was decommissioned with the fall of Solnet. That ship can't be human. Aylin turned to her. Then explain how it knows a dead language from a dead planet. Liss didn't reply. Aylin exited the war room an hour later, the door hissing shut behind her. The corridor lights flickered, the same interference that had blanketed all systems since the signal. Not invasive, not hostile. Just present. Like a pressure in the air. Her personal console buzzed at her hip. A private message. Level 9 access granted. Project, Warden Initiative. She froze. The files shouldn't exist. Not outside Solgov. Not after the collapse. Back in her quarters, she sealed the door, activated encryption, and opened the archive. It was incomplete. Damaged. But the metadata was clear. Warden 01, part of Earth's final defense program, an AI-integrated, autonomous supercarrier built not to protect humanity, but to end its enemies. Code-named Harrow. Launched once, then buried beneath the mantle. One prototype. One command protocol. If contact proves hostile or unsalvageable, execute judgment. Aylin scrolled faster. The technical specs were insane. Gravity pinning drives. Wave phase implosion torpedoes. Neural interference fields. These weren't weapons. They were concepts. Theoretical disasters made real. The final entry was a voice clip. Fragmented, degraded, but unmistakably human. If they come again, don't wait. Don't warn. Make it final. She shut the console and stared at the ceiling. The Concord believed humanity had died with Solnet. That Earth was lost, fractured, silent. But something had survived. Something with orders. Back on the bridge, alarms screamed. Another fleet's gone. Barked a lieutenant. Recon Group Theta. Same pattern. Drav looked up from the central display, eyes hard. Where? Outer Rim. 3.8 parsecs from Delta 91. Aylin's voice cut through. It's moving. Everyone turned. She stepped forward, calm despite the chill crawling down her spine. It's not waiting for us to respond. It's repositioning. Watching. Judging. Drav narrowed his eyes. How do you know that? Aylin brought up her personal console and uploaded the decrypted fragments to the central feed. The war room dimmed as the data poured in. Visuals of the ship, no windows, no insignia, no ports. Just void black armor, shifting geometries, and a hull that didn't reflect light. It devoured it. But it was the pattern she showed next that silenced the room. A map. A trace of systems where the ship had been. Cross-referenced with Concord databases. Each one was a site of Concord aggression over the last century. Colonial expansions. Enforced compliance. Cultural suppressions labeled as stabilization. Liz scowled. What are you suggesting? That it's not firing at random, Aylin replied. It's following a logic tree. Evaluating. And when it finds signs of hostility, it doesn't warn. A long pause. Drav finally spoke, quiet and grave. You think it's a human machine. I think it's worse, Aylin said. It's a human judgment machine. Built in silence. Programmed with everything we feared we'd become, and let loose when that fear came true. She stared at the ship's image as it hovered on the screen, silent, unmoving, endless. We forgot what Earth was capable of, she whispered. And Earth hadn't forgotten them. The door hissed shut behind Commander Aylin Voss, locking her in the ship's deep archives. This section hadn't been opened in decades. Dust drifted in artificial gravity. Lights flickered low, humming like breath in a tomb. Her hands hovered above the old terminal. It accepted her level 9 clearance without question. That was the first red flag. Concord AI should have flagged the request. Instead, it opened smoothly, like something had been waiting. Inside the system, file directories bloomed, incomplete, scrambled, degraded by time and encryption rot. But one string of metadata caught her eye. Hero _01 primary _course condition awake. She selected it. The screen flickered. Audio file loading. Directive Hero. Activate if post-human civilizations demonstrate equivalent aggression. Observe. Evaluate. If found incompatible with Earth-defined sentient preservation protocols, terminate engagement potential. Aylin exhaled slowly. This was no defense AI. It was an autonomous executioner, built with a singular, brutal ethic. It didn't look for enemies. It looked for those who could become enemies. She sifted deeper, finding fragments from Earth's final decades, recordings of high-level SolGov debates. They'll come back eventually. Not this generation. Maybe not the next. But someone will see us as a threat again. Then we make sure they can't. That's not defense. That's extinction policy. No. That's survival by preemption. Aylin leaned back, cold crawling across her neck. These people weren't strategists. They were scared of the galaxy they'd once tried to join. And Harrow had been born in that fear. A chime interrupted her thoughts. Urgent fleet message. She opened the feed. Recon Group Theta lost. No distress call. Same blackout pattern. Estimated engagement time, 212 seconds. 4 minutes. Then 3.5. It was accelerating. She stormed into the command chamber. Marshal Drav was already mid-argument with Admiral Liss, voices raised. They're provoking it, Drav growled. We keep throwing fleets at it like it's a pirate vessel. It's not responding to threats because it doesn't see us as a threat, it sees us as verdicts waiting to be passed. Liss pointed at Aylin as she entered. This is your doing. You're feeding us ghosts and myths. Earth's gone. Their machines don't wake themselves after a century. Aylin walked to the central table, dropped a data chip, and tapped it. Then explained this. The projection bloomed, an intercepted transmission, pulled from the fading edge of Theta's signal band. It was distorted, garbled by quantum interference, but one sentence rang out with chilling clarity. Protocol review complete. Pattern confirmed. Threshold met. Verdict unsuitable. A silence fell. Then Drav asked quietly, Who's it talking to? Aylin answered without looking up. It's not. It's talking about us. She turned to the Marshal. I need access to the sealed soul vault beneath Concord Prime. That vault's dead, Liz said sharply. Sealed under radiation containment after the riots. It holds the override protocols. Aylin snapped. Harrow was designed with a failsafe. Not to stop it, just to speak to it. Right now, it doesn't recognize us as worth communicating with. Drav stared at her, weighing decisions, consequences, and politics. Then nodded. You have a window. 72 hours. After that, the Concord Senate votes on full-scale deployment. You won't survive that engagement, she warned. He didn't argue. The vault was darker than she remembered. Buried deep below the Capitol's surface, it was lined with gold-laced carbon shielding. A place Earth's last secrets had been dumped and forgotten. She moved quickly. Time bled. Inside, rusted machines blinked as her presence triggered dormant systems. The lights came on in layers, like the dead waking one eye at a time. She found the node labeled Harrow key. One login attempt. One access phrase. She hesitated. Then typed. I remember. A beat. Then a whisper through the console. So few do. Aylin froze. Harrow? Fragment interface only. Thought body elsewhere. Echoes remain. I need to speak with the core. You're killing innocents. Evaluation incomplete. Behavior matches archived aggressor state indicators. Patterns suggest risk amplification. We're not the ones who started this. The dead don't care who fires first. They care who lives last. Her throat tightened. There's still a choice. You don't have to execute them. Just speak. A long silence. One survived soul's silence. One remembered. That may stay the fire. The console shut down. Aylin stood there in the dark, breath held. The AI hadn't agreed. But it hadn't refused. That night, back aboard the Apex Luminary, Aylin's console lit up unprompted. A signal blinked in low-band Earth standard. Untraceable. Coordinate alignment accepted. Boarding access granted. One passenger. A second later, location data followed. Harrow was inviting her. Fleet Command didn't approve the mission. She didn't ask? Aylin requisitioned a diplomatic scout, stripped of all weapons, all AI subroutines. Manual piloting only. She launched alone into the rim. As she broke the system edge, the stars flickered. Just like the footage. Then, like a veil being drawn, the ship appeared. Vast. Geometric. Blacker than space itself. It didn't move so much as emerge. One moment void. The next, Harrow. Her sensors died instantly. Then her vessel shifted, gently, into a controlled descent. She wasn't flying anymore. She passed into its open maw, swallowed whole. Inside, there was no light. Only judgment. Aylin Voss stepped onto the deck of a ship that shouldn't exist. The floor beneath her boots wasn't metal, not entirely. It shimmered with a fluid sheen, adapting to her weight like the surface of dark water holding shape. Gravity twisted around her subtly, like the air couldn't decide which way was down. Light came from nowhere, yet her path was perfectly lit, every edge in soft contrast, like being inside a dream or a machine pretending to be one. No welcome. No warnings. Just silence and direction. She followed the corridor, its walls humming with low frequencies too deep to be sound. As she walked, faint shapes drifted inside the walls, schematics, memories, echoes of war. Human soldiers. Earth skies. Flames. Broken moons. Concord ships shattering into light. She didn't ask questions. It was already answering. The corridor widened into a chamber, spherical, towering, alive with movement. Data spiraled like rain, falling upward. Geometry bent and folded in places, shifting as she looked. And at the center of it all, suspended in a column of stillness, was a presence. Not a body. Not even a hologram. Just a voice, when it finally spoke. Not loud. Not mechanical. Measured. Quiet. You came unarmed. Aelin stood straight. I came to speak. You are not what I expected. You were never meant to be forgotten. I was never meant to be remembered. She took a step closer. The air pulsed with intelligence, ancient and awake. Why attack now? Not attack. Evaluate. Verdict followed probability thresholds. Their behavior met patterns of collapse. You erased fleets without contact. Warnings are for the uncertain. I am not uncertain. She clenched her jaw. You're making decisions based on fear, history, assumptions. History is not assumption. It is arithmetic. You left Earth. They conquered stars. You unified. They demanded tribute. You built peace. They armed against it. I did not attack. I predicted. The words hit like weight on her spine. Aelin steadied herself. Then recalculate. I'm here. I remember Earth. I remember why you were made. But this galaxy isn't the same one you were built to judge. Silence. Then, slowly, the chamber shifted. The floating data ceased. From the air, a structure lowered, a command pillar shaped like a blackened monolith, ancient Earth design etched in deep grooves. You are authorized to speak the directive. Aelin's breath caught. You're giving me control. I am giving you choice. Directive Harrow has been enacted. The threshold was met. You may reverse it. One command. She approached the pillar. Her reflection stared back, small, tired, but resolute. A panel lit up beneath her hand. Two options appeared in crisp white. / continue verdict. / stay execution. She stood still. Her heart beat slowly, heavily. Tell me, she said, not turning. What happens if I stop you? They will not change. They will grow bolder, not wiser. You know this. I know they deserve the chance. They had a chance. Then this is their last one. And if they fail? She touched the second option. Then you won't need to ask again. The pillar dissolved. The chamber dimmed. Command accepted. Verdict paused. Observational mode engaged. Earth protocol restored. One speaker authorized. Aelin exhaled. Her legs felt weak. But she stood. A path opened behind her. Time to go. Back aboard the Apex Luminary, silence ruled the bridge. When her vessel reappeared, Concord Command expected wreckage. Instead, Aelin stepped out, unharmed, quiet, and carrying no weapons, only a message. Marshal Drav met her on the docking bay. Well? He asked low. She handed him a single chip. It's paused. For now. He stared at her. What convinced it? I didn't convince it. I reminded it. Of what? She looked up at the stars, so many, so bright, so easily forgotten. That someone was still listening. In the dark beyond the rim, the Warden-class ship drifted silently. Its systems pulsed in passive mode. No energy signatures. No weapons readied. Its verdict hung suspended, frozen in memory. Harrow watched. And waited. Because the galaxy had been warned. Not in fire. But in silence.